like to invite one of our partners also. It's probably the last presentation before we hear from His Majesty. Is the founder of Prime Coffee, London, Mr. Olabode Matthews. Mr. Olabode Matthews, please, a round of applause. Some of our partners, Mr. Matthews.
Your Majesty, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Your Royal Highness and my Lord, a very good evening to everybody. Until about May this year, I thought my mission in life was to produce coffee, brew coffee, grow coffee, etc. And little did I know that there's a lot more to life of this person than just the coffee growing and coffee growing in Nigeria. Even though I'm the product of a farmer, cocoa farmer, my dad used to grow cocoa, and so he has a lot of farms and plantations here and there. But before I go into that, let me tell you a little bit about the background to the coffee side of the business. A few years ago, I was out of work. My wife, my young wife, and my young child went to church, and I was full of anger because I was out of work. I couldn't look after them. And the mandate I had on that particular Saturday was to go to Asda, do shopping, cook in the house before they came back from church. Because all that we had left in the house was £45. But I had a different idea. When I crossed the river to Poway Street in Woolwich, bought a well-used coffee machine, even though at a small price of the supervisor there telling me about the history of my ancestors. Because I only had £45, the machine was selling for £47. So it took a while. I wore him down by going in and coming back out and going in again. He told me to F off and take the machine. So I had my machine and I experimented with the coffee ideas that I had. Fast forward, a few days later, Prime Coffee was born because I had good invitation. I had invitation from a couple of friends who said, come and try it. Following which they loved it. Brilliant. So we started that. And a few months later, I thought, okay, why don't we expand this thing? Grow coffee servicing into coffee bars in the offices. Again, I had another lucky break, thanks to the LDA, the Canary Wharf Group, set up a coffee bar inside the main towers in Canary Wharf. Brilliant. Oh, by the way, I didn't pay for them. They paid for them. I was that lucky. And following that, we thought, okay, they love the coffee machine, the tabletop coffee machine, the corporate services, the coffee bar that we're doing. Where do these people go when they leave offices? When they go to Excel, when they go to Exhibit, what do they do for refreshment? Why don't you follow them there? Hence, corporate services was born. Started brewing coffee for them at trade shows and so on and so forth. And I also asked, after about 2 years or so, when these people leave office, when they go home, where do they go for their coffee? They go to Starbucks, they go to Coffee Republic, they go to all manner of other big chains. Okay, time to stop them. Start growing coffee shops. Where do we start from? No money, nothing at all. So LDA came into the picture. Started our first coffee shop in 2004. And that's how we've been growing the business. And about 8 years ago, we realized we're paying so much for coffee beans all over the place. And I thought, if we're going to last in this business, we need to find a sustainable supply of coffee. Hence, farm in Nigeria. So that's the way we've been growing the business. Until a few months ago, when I was talking to a friend saying, well, I've got 100 acres in Nigeria. My father left me maybe 100 plus more acres of cocoa farm. Mature cocoa, they were wasting away. What do we do? Well, why don't you start cultivating them? Why don't you start using them? How? So, coffee powder started from that. And just by chance, I went to an event in Lagos, and I met with Your Royal Highness, and the King encouraged me so much that I thought, okay, I have two faces in life. One is for coffee, one is for chocolate. I can confidently say that with his help, we have our first chocolate bars. And I'm so grateful to him that to the point that a friend that I thought was just a friend that I've been talking to for quite a while, not knowing that she's going to be a chocolate maestro, has teamed up with me. So we're going to be producing chocolate bars using our own cocoa as well. But the story will not complete unless I mention the role Eti-Oni played in establishing chocolate production through prime coffee, or prime cocoa as we call it now. So Eti-Oni will forever be part of our story. Will be part of everything that we do in the future. So I just want to say thank you so much. Finally, I was so nervous when I got the invitation to come and talk to everybody here, because I don't do talking. I just brew coffee. I'm just a coffee brewer. If anybody's got questions and want me to elaborate on anything, please feel free, because I function better in one-to-one than talking at the podium. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and congratulations, Prime Chocolate. Very inspiring story, and especially when you shared how you met Kabiyesi. A couple of people today have shared how they met His Royal Majesty. Sir David Lloyd mentioned his experience. Everyone else have shared their experience. Does anybody want to know how I met His Royal Majesty? Yes. I'm going to tell it anyway. So, I lived in Manchester. I had a job as a care worker, which was a great job. We looked after people with learning disability. That was my job. And I don't know, I felt fulfilled-ish. You know, I got a kick from the fact that this is a job people don't want to do. These people have disabilities. Somebody has to look after them. So that was my job. But then there was a part of me that wanted to do African things. You know, celebrate Black History Month. You know, be a Pan-African, push Africa agenda, change the narrative, tell stories. So I wanted to do something for Black History Month in 2013. I wanted to tell the history of Africans before colonialism. So I went to a function, and Kabiyesi was there. And I just watched him. You know, it just looked elegant and fantastic. You know, I remember trying to prostrate, and he stopped me in my tracks. You know, like, no, don't fall flat on your face. To greet me, just shake my hands. I thought, oh, that's new. Because usually when you see royal fathers, you fall flat. And if you don't do, somebody might trip you and say, you know, true story, that happened to me in Lagos. True story. You mean you want me to detour? Okay, I'll detour very quickly. We went to the palace of Oba of Lagos. We prostrated, but I didn't know you were supposed to stay low. So as soon as I completed my prostrate, I stood up. I didn't realize the other person was still like that. And one of the courtiers slapped my hamstring with a massive stick. I kid you not. I kid you not. I was 25 years old. I was seething with anger. I was swearing like, you absolute beep, 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 beep. Like, why would you hit me with a stick on my hamstring? He tore my suit as well. I'm like, what a beep. But he's an old man. And he looked at me like I was some fool. Like, idiot. Like, you are not supposed to stand higher than the king. I'm thinking, how am I supposed to know that? But then I learned that lesson and I never did it again. So when I saw His Royal Majesty, I went flat and I stayed like that. You know, and then he said, no, stand up. So he asked me questions. What do you do? Blah, blah. And I said what I did. And it was like, you know, you need to look in different directions, this, do that. So I said, Your Majesty, I want to organize this event. And I was just wondering. He said, I'll come to your event. I'll come to your event. I put his face on my IV. And I titled the event, A Royal Evening. And he was like the hook, because everybody wanted to meet the king. So they turned up just so they could meet the king. And that's how that friendship started. And since then, it encouraged me, signposted me, until I found myself working for the BBC World Service. So this is what he does. he will have his high-profile gathering and then invite me and then introduce me. So I've met ambassadors, I've met high commissioners, I'm about to meet His Excellency as well. He doesn't know it yet, but we're about to be best of friends. Because I love to go to Trinidad and Tobago for my holiday. So, without boring you, I just wanted to say thank you, Your Majesty, for your support. And I'm sure KBC has inspired a lot of us here with his friendship. KBC has just told me we have a representative of the governor of Osun State, which is where Eti-Oni is under. Back in the day before colonialism, these places were their own places. But now we run the federal system. We have a governor who is in charge of this community. So it's being represented. Please, can we have the representative of His Excellency, Mr. Adegboyega Oyetola, the Executive Governor of Osun State, just to share, give us His Excellency's message, please. This is a round of applause. Forgive me, sir, you can introduce yourself and tell His Excellency I said, hey.
Good evening, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. The Commissioner of Trinidad and Tobago, His Royal Majesty, Oba Dokun Thompson, great Nigerians in the house, and great citizens of the world. If you don't mind, join me to a little bit of a sing song. For those of you who know this song, it's about where we come from, and it's about culture. Iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ níṣẹ́ ilẹ̀ wa, ẹni òṣìṣẹ́ á máa jalè, ìwé kíkọ láìsí ọkọ́ àti àdá kò ì pẹ́ o, kò ì pẹ́ o. For those of you who doesn't understand what we say, basically translate, education without farming is not complete. So that's where we come from. So you have your education, you have your degrees, your PhDs, your masters, or whatever you've got, and you got to know how to do the basic of farming, self-sustainability, feeding your family, feeding the community. So now to the speech on behalf of the governor. Long before colonization, crude oil, and independence, Africa has always been a self-sustaining continent. This is more so in the southwest of Nigeria, where we regard farming as the basis of self-sustainability. Nigeria was the second largest producer of cocoa in the world until the 70s, when fossil fuel became the main foreign exchange earner for Nigeria. Between 1952 and 1966, Western Nigeria was the fastest growing economy in the whole of Africa. So, imagine that, just from cocoa, or cocoa, like the South Americans would say. And this was largely due to the visionary leadership, and most importantly, harnessing what we have, people, and most importantly, agriculture as well. And cocoa being the main foreign exchange earner during this period, and the wonderful megalicious small city of Eti-Oni being a major producer of this cash crop. Eti-Oni is a small town in the city of in the state of Osun with big dreams, goals, and vision. Who do we attribute this to? But the monarch himself, a vibrant young monarch with vision. The monarch sees his town as being bigger, better, and self-sustaining than my government share the mission of the monarch, not only to make Eti-Oni greater, but to take the state of Osun to a greater level. We, the people of Nigeria, Western Nigeria, and most importantly, the state of Osun share the same dream, vision of a greater state, a 21st century state, a state that our citizens can be proud of, a state that Nigerians, Africans can be proud of. And to attain this height, despite the huge deposit of gold and iron ore and other minerals in our state, we see cocoa as the future. We see cocoa as the engine and the wheel of employment and as a tool for foreign exchange and inward investment, and Eti-Oni and the monarch as a partner. A lot of Nigerians, especially the people of the state of Osun, grew up with the foundation of education and farming. And a lot of us Nigerians in this room will give a similar story of education and farming. If you see that with the song we sang earlier on. Nigeria and the world is going through a cycle, though not yet completed, in terms of fossil fuel, and we in the state of Osun, and especially Jesha North, despite all the other God-given mineral resources at our disposal, we are proud. We are proud people, and value the ability to be able to feed ourselves, at the same time earning much needed foreign currency through the export of cocoa and other agricultural produce. My government understands this fact and the reason why my government is investing in many infrastructural projects such as good roads, water, education, and health for our people, so that we can remain productive and competitive in this century and beyond. I understand the importance of full employment and the world's relevance, hence the reason why my government is investing greatly in agriculture, as my government's aim is to see Osun cocoa, cassava, bananas, plantain, yam in every supermarket in the developed world. Our government cannot do all these things alone. So we need all the support we can get. And we have dedicated departments within the Ministry of Agri, dedicated to people in the diaspora, interested in farming. So fellow Nigerians, fellow world citizens, Osun citizens, and of course, Omo Jesha, please don't hesitate, don't be a stranger, and invest in agriculture in your own land. On behalf of myself and the great people of Osun State, I thank you. Thank you.